My name's Charles Myssy. I'm a shadow work practitioner. Shadow work is you're just kind of traveling in there and getting to know different parts of you. And by doing that, you're getting to know more of yourself. Understanding these different parts of you. We've all got different parts of us. Why they're there, where they come from, what age did they take up that role? Why was it important at that time, at that age to take up at that role? It was all there for you. It's all a form of love that was there for you. Our unique expression is so vast, like the network of consciousness that we all have access to. If there are parts of us that are reacting out to the surface on autopilot without any sort of self-leadership, it's going to lead to negative outcomes. When I felt it in my heart, it's like I just started seeing things differently.
In this episode, we sit down with Charles Myssy, someone I've followed for a while on Instagram, and had a good laugh, I guess, looking at his things, and we finally got to meet him. Charles's story and journey does a full circle in a way. He, from being the kid from, Lebanese background, very multicultural background, feeling like the street kid, the kid that was, I guess, dealt the short end of the stick with life, went traveling and seen a lot of parts of the world, actually. Off memory, a fair few countries he went to. And I think a realization moment hit him when he went and seen how other people are living, and also realized that maybe he's not the victim that he thought he was. And as he comes back to Australia and preaches what he's seen and starts to actually accept himself and his life as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's really inviting, actually, because he makes this space quite light. He pokes fun at himself, which I love. He pokes fun at, outwardly to just where people are in this space of like spirituality and self-development. I think it's a really, really good entry point if you follow him on Instagram or any of his, when you see any of his little skits that he does, it's quite funny and it's very relatable.
Yeah.
He has a real full circle journey, as Zuzu mentioned, and what I love about it, that he actually comes back to a very authentic place. He found himself as he is and falling in love with as he is, I think, and that's a very, very important part. He does a lot of work with shadow work. He does a lot of work with inner child, and I think the work is heavy, but the way he delivers it is so funny and so lighthearted.
Yeah.
I think, and that's his biggest message, that you don't have to be so serious and you don't have to look a certain way and you don't have to be a certain way and you don't have to preach it. Yeah. He enjoys life, he's fun, he, drums on the beach, he shows up in his budgies.
My budgie brother.
Yeah, and so I think that's the biggest takeaway from him. He's authentically living his life and he's embodying what he talks about. So yeah, check this episode out and have a great laugh too, because it's quite funny.
All right, welcome back everyone to the Be Human Movement podcast. We're actually in beautiful Bondi. We've come down here and caught up with Charles Myssy from TRIBR.
G'day guys, welcome. Welcome to my home. Hope you're comfortable.
Very comfortable, actually. I might turn my home into this.
Yeah.
Honestly, once you go
these Arabic cushions, I can't go back.
And do you know how good it's for health?
Exactly.
It's actually how we're meant to be.
You know how I decided I want to get these sort of cushions? I was doing a lot of traveling around parts of Asia, Middle East, and almost every home has this sort of setup. And you go to these places and I'd see a 90-year-old woman squatting down, grabbing her great-grandchild, coming back up. And I'm like, look at the mobility on this lady, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's because every day they squat down, they sit down here, they're moving, they're sitting, they're eating like this, eating their food. So they're just...
digestion, right?
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, there you go, digestive benefits. A bit more grounded. 100%. After you eat, you can just relax. It's the best.
Yes.
Well, they're definitely doing something right, aren't they? Like if you look at the way we live in the Western world, you know, and we struggle to get to the age of 90.
Right.
And if you aren't 90, very rarely are you going to be able to pick up someone, a grandkid off the ground.
Exactly. Exactly.
So they must be doing something
It is, and it's the firmness too, and it doesn't make it too comfortable so that you're like, you know, so your spine's all jacked up and stuff. They're
It's
like,
not going to be
it's
Netflix
clever.
and chilling.
Exactly. I don't even have a TV in here, as you can see.
Well, we're chilling, but no Netflix.
Jesse, pay attention, love, when I get home.
Cheers, Jess.
Changing all the furniture in the home.
It's true though.
Great to have you guys here.
Thank you, man. And it was a
Thanks
beautiful
for having me.
welcome, like lemon water. It's like just what we needed.
Yeah, put a little bit of lemon in there. Thought you guys might pick up on it, you know.
So, can you actually introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah.
Tell us how you sort of got to this place as well. So, this is when I connected very deeply with you just because of how you show up, what you do, and I think it's important people sort of see that too, you know. So, if you can share a little bit.
Awesome. All right. Well, anyone tuning in, listening, thank you. You know, thanks for taking your time out of your day to tune in and listen to me talking. My name's Charles Myssy. I'm a shadow work practitioner. That's the main thing that I focus on doing. I'm co-founder of some different things that it's all in all just to help people connect to themselves and express themselves more authentically, have fun, heal, connect with like-minded people. That's what I'm big on. I do that in different ways. Organize retreats. So, you know, retreats is just like a weekend away that it really encapsulates like a full holistic experience of what it means to heal, to connect, to be human. And it really captures like the lightness of the jokes, the having fun, you know, sitting by the fire, telling stories, dancing, you know, without any drugs or alcohol, party, drums, you know, like, you know, all the ice baths, the breath work, and then the deep healing experiences where we're really digging deep into like, you know, hidden parts of ourselves, the food. It's just, the retreats really capture like the essence of like what I love, experiences that I love, and how I like to share that with people. But then, you know, a large part of what I do in my, you know, weekly life is doing, you know, forms of psychotherapy work with people, really getting deep with them to, you know, uncovering where the root of some of their surface layer manifestations are coming from, parts of themselves that they're struggling to understand or integrate, and or just know where they stem from, or what the positive intention is for them being there and doing what they're doing, you know, sabotaging their lives, or, you know, toxic, and, you know, coming out and, you know, rage and anger or certain behaviours, whatever. It's just people come with these surface layer issues, and we just kind of break it down, get into the network, and kind of map out what's happening there on a subconscious and unconscious level.
How did you get into that though? How did you start on that path?
So, you know, there's a few different catalysts that occur that created value for me to go, all right, you know, I need to look within now, or, you know, I need to create some type of shift and change in my life. And there was you know, just the general sort of painful things that I went through in my childhood and things that I went through at that time. But how I got into what I'm doing now more specifically was I started off as a personal trainer. Okay, so I was a PT for 8 years, and I worked in the Sydney CBD. And I got into PT because first of all, because I wanted money. I was poor as fuck. I grew up in housing commission, and I was studying film and TV as after school. And the film and TV industry, it's like any creative industry, the belief that I had that to make money in this, it's gonna take years. You know what I mean? You got to work grassroots and be a fucking camera guy for some shitty TV show, and maybe Channel 7 News. You know, like just sucking up to people. Like just it's something that I'm like, that's not me. You know, I don't want to get into film and TV and get into that. I was like so against that. I hated the news and all that sort of shit. You know, even at a young age, I fucking hated it. I was onto it very early on. I think the war in the Middle East shit really opened my eyes. Even as a young child, I'm like, that guy doesn't look like he's telling the truth about those weapons of mass destruction. Like I could just pick up on it intuitively, and therefore I'm like, don't fucking watch that. Saw the bullshit early on. So I didn't want to be a part of that. So, you know, I'm young, I want money, I'm fucking poor. I'm training. Training was like something I got into originally because grew up in a semi-rough area. It was all about like how tough you were and who you were with to try and survive that environment. So there was a value on being physically strong and knowing how to defend yourself. Got into a few fights, and one of the fights I got into was pretty bad. Me and a mate got jumped by like a big group of people and head smashed in, and and that for me at a young age, growing up as
How old were you roughly when you started?
15 at that time. 15 when I got really badly bashed. Prime teen years, you're really trying to get your sense of identity and who you are as a person. And I'm the man of the house at home. 3 sisters and my mum. So you start getting these thoughts. I did that, like, well, if I can get so easily bashed and beaten by these guys, what am I going to do if someone breaks in our house? I'm the first, and I would have these thoughts in bed. You're just kind of running worst case scenarios.
Anxious thoughts.
Anxious thoughts, exactly. And because our house had been robbed before that, so that's like a trauma that I experienced then. That's kind of replaying. Like, what are you going to do next time it happens, Charles? So therefore, I got into boxing and learning how to fight and all that sort of stuff. So I was training already at that time, and I'm like, fuck, I just want to make money. PT's good. There's some guy at the gym I heard he was making like $3,000 a week.
Always like that as a PT.
Bro, I was like, what? $3,000 a week? I couldn't even comprehend that. I'm working at like retail and Macca's and all this sort of shit before that. Struggling to like just save anything. Just like 3,000. Like I was just like, what I could do with that money. And it was good. It was inspiring. And so after that, I studied PT. I studied it for like a year. And I was procrastinating hard after it. I'm like, fuck, I got to get in and start paying rent to a gym and approach people in the gym for, hey man, you got a bicep curl like this. But after like a year of procrastinating and working in some fucking retail shop in the city, I was like, fuck it, just got to do it. And I started helping people and I loved it. I was actually really good at it. I'd done so well at PT. It was just because of my personality and, growing up. I just wanted to help people.
The main foundation is relationships. If you have great relationships, you'll be successful.
That's right. And I found it really, bro, I was like the youngest PT at the gym. I was the first time starting. I was actually working in a gym that was like it was like a brand new concept in the Sydney. It was like right underneath the fucking, what's that tower called?
Westfield Tower, I think.
The Westfield Tower, the fucking Centrepoint Tower. That's the one. It was like a big deal, and like the guy who opened up the gym was like some multi-millionaire, whatever. And I'm some like 21-year-old like guy from the area, like just fucking rocking up in the city. Everyone's business mind, It's my first time working in the city. It was like a big kind of shift coming from the area where.
And it would have been a hard place to really kick off for yourself. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought it was gonna be. But I just went in there. I'm like, I fucking need money. I got to hustle. You can do this. And the nature of the area I grew up in is like, you just talk to people. It's all about connections and networking. You got like how many people you can say hello to. If you're in trouble, you got to know people. It's all about networking. Parties, you got to know people to get into house parties and shit. It's all about how much shit you can talk. So it's like I already had to develop that nature, like growing up in that environment, And also coming from a cultural background, like Lebanese culture, very extroverted, outspoken, family orientated, big social interactions. So I actually killed it, and I helped a lot of people. I worked as a PT in the city for 8 years. I ended up changing gyms, and it was very successful. I made enough money to buy a couple of investment properties and travel the world. And traveling the world was when I really started just fucking opening up my mind.
I felt like in your post, that's when you really started to shift, and I think it started to open up for you. Like,
definitely.
Going from a self-centered kind of, hey, I've got to do this for myself, this is what I want, money, things and parties and cars, whatever. And I think I do remember a post where it was like when you traveled and you saw something landed.
Definitely. A lot landed. Because for a long time I held on to this like victim idea. My dad left, housing commission, we're poor, I'm just a street kid, angry kid, no one gives a fuck, I'm Lebanese in this society and we're vilified. Always this victim sort of idea, right? And then, traveling to fucking all these places, man, it just shatters the frameworks of all these beliefs and ideas, not only of my victim all these beliefs of this victim identity, but also of the beliefs of all these things that, you know, just imposed on you by society to make you feel like you have to be successful in this way, and you got to do this, you got to look like this, you got to get this and do that, you know, all this bullshit. It's just all just went, you know, because not only am I going to these places and seeing like really people struggling and suffering, like, you know, you got, like as an example, I'm going to like Rwanda, where it's like 20 years after the genocide that they experienced, and you're seeing like a majority of young people there, like people that are my age, are orphans.
Yeah.
Still, huh?
They're just orphans because they're the byproduct of that, and a lot of people have missing arms, missing legs from the machetes, and you know, big, and they're just, and you're just talking to them about their stories, and you know, you go into places where, you know, there's a lot of poverty and huge discrepancy in like higher class and lower class, and kids begging, and knowing the nature of the begging industry, how these kids are used by pimps to go out and hustle for money, and the pimps get them hooked on drugs so that they keep trying to get money. It's just, it's very, just real dark shadow elements of the collective consciousness that us in the privileged little world here, it's mostly kind of pushed away. We didn't even have to see our animals getting slaughtered when we eat them, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
It's all hidden from our everything.
We do see that, we don't want to watch it.
Exactly, we don't want to watch
It's
it.
not real, you know what I mean?
Whereas over there, you're seeing the animal get slaughtered in front of you. And
It's funny, yeah, like in this privileged place that we live, but if we see bullshit on TV, a lot of people will not even second guess what they're seeing and believe that and go, oh, yep, that person's against that person, that nation against that nation, that's it. But you're right, if you see the real shit, yeah, it's like, now put under the rug.
Yeah, and that was another big thing as well, because there was a lot of countries I went to that, you know, the Australian government says don't go to those countries. And, you know, there was, I still, you know, have this part of me. He's very kind of anti-authority and kind of not, I'm sure you, he's very much like, you know, fuck the system, I fucking do what I want, brother, you know, grew up listening to Tupac and shit.
Like from what, 12 years old?
Oh my God, I love it. I still listen to him now. I listened to him today.
When I was 15, fucking don't listen to this in the house with women, you know? But now it's like, oh, Tupac. Or he's Coolio. I guess that's Coolio. Coolio died. I said, yeah.
He knows before you. So, yeah, just going to these places, it really kind of opened my eyes and made me see like the essence of what's important in life. And you're seeing these people, like, even though they got, you know, like, it's a typical thing, but it's a realization I had to embody, not just something you read in a book. Be grateful for what you have today. It's not something I intellectually get. It's something that I felt in my heart. And when I felt it in my heart, it's like I just started seeing things differently. It's like these kind of goggles just fell off, and you know, you're seeing families connecting with each other, children like playing outside in the dirt and laughing and you know, it's just got nothing, but it's just, there was something so beautiful and liberating about like exposing myself to it. And you know, I'm very privileged to have been able to go and see that, but then also come back to the physically safe reality that I'm in. But what it's like, I felt obliged that now I'm like, I got to share this with people. I can't just like turn this into something like.
Great trip.
It was, yeah, exactly. It was just a great trip. I've seen poor people. Like it's like I got to help people see that, but you don't have to go there to see it. You just got to unlock it with. You just got to discover it within yourself.
Exactly right, bro. I understand what you're saying, because I've never been overseas. I've only been overseas a couple of times, and I never went to anywhere like that, right? But I come from, you know, Syrian, Lebanese background, genocide background, and hearing the stories from, you know, your grandmother, your great grandmother, your uncles, I feel very connected always to, you know, the people that are going through things like that, right? And I think that, you know, did you find it hard coming back here? Because your perception changed, right, when you were there. And then once you come back here, you get back into, you know, this type of nice place, safe place. Do you find it that it's very hard to keep that perception, or you just drop back in? Do you know what I mean?
It's a good question. Part of me definitely found it hard. part of me felt like he had to go on a preaching spree and be like, wake up everybody, like just go on the streets and fucking repent, you know, like just some fucking new age Jesus guy or some shit, you know what I mean? Probably did a bit of that, maybe on my social media or some shit, who knows. Maybe that's why I take the piss out of it a bit.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Taking the piss out of the old version of myself. So yeah, there was a part of me who definitely came back, and it was just like, just the conversations people are talking about. It's like, who gives a fuck about that TV show and this and that and fucking Kardashians? Who gives a fuck, brother? Like, it was just like, I was just like, fuck, like, just pushing it away, you know? And it was just my way of trying to create a space from all the, what I observed as just shit that I didn't want to come into my field, right? But the way that I kept myself kind of just grounded in that perception was I just kept traveling. Man, I fucking, every year I was 1-2 trips up, and it just kept getting more and more and more like extreme with what I was doing. You know, like I went to Lebanon, I did a hike from the north to the south, like an overland hike, camping along the way, staying at villages and hanging out with the locals, and then
not being at the resort.
Not being at the resort, brother. It was, I got sick, I got lost. It was fucking wild, shooting guns with locals and shit. It was incredible. You know, going to Africa, going into the desert, 2 weeks camping, climbing up mountains, going to Pakistan, going on the border of Afghanistan, hanging out with like, you know, these tribal people there, going on dangerous roads, like just real like adventure.
It's life, really.
Yeah. No filters.
No filters, like places where like people are dying. Like you
can't even speak their language. You got to work it out.
Exactly. Like there's like we're driving on dangerous roads and you're seeing cars that have fallen off the day before, and it's just life, you know. People just continue. We're walking through a village in Nepal and hiking up mountains, and you just see the remnants of a landslide that just demolished the whole village, and then you know, you're walking and then you're seeing the family members all near the river next to their bodies, you know, wrapped up in beautiful ceremony stuff, having a grieving ceremony, crying, weeping, and it's just like, this is it, this is life, bro. Here you are. And then you go into animals, Africa, you know, going face to face with gorillas and getting stalked by leopards. I got stalked by a leopard once. There's like a story by the fire. I was making out with this chick, and everyone was asleep in the tents, and it was late one safari, and you know, I'm horny. It was like, you know, all the African food, and there's a lot of testosterone or some shit. Fresh air and shit, all organic. It was, I couldn't control it, man. Oh, right. It was just all these experiences that kept me like in it and kept me exploring it. But then when COVID hit, it's like, you can't travel anymore.
I was gonna say there was another
travel. So there was another. I had to let go of this identity of like traveling and going away. So I had to then go like inside.
You have to. Everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's what I was going to ask you, because you know, I look at my life and I think now, you know, like we can do a cold shower, we can have a morning routine, and we can go to the gym, and I was like, and you know, I can even dream. All right, I can even say, look, I can maybe achieve that. Like that's a possibility.
Yeah.
I go, man, what about the people that don't even have a vision of that,
well, they don't
right?
dare to dream anymore.
And their day, because I'm Indian background, their day is just the same till the day they die, right? And I've seen it. Same thing, get up at a certain time, go to work at someone else's house, you got to look after your kid, you got to do everything, and you go to sleep, you go really tired, go home, that's your day again. Because there's a caste system too, right?
Yeah, right.
Then I looked at that and I said, wow, like, we think we're cool, and we're doing it really tough and hard, and look at us, and I said, we do it with a dream.
Yeah, right.
Right? We have this thing called possibility, and we're going on that. We're like, okay, if I do this long enough, this will happen, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Imagine doing something and just doing it.
like just survival.
Just doing it. There is no dream. There's no I'm coming out of this.
There's no time to even dream.
Imagine what is within that person that makes them. And then I started to look at life. I go, wow, the real journey through spirituality is that.
Yeah, okay, now I get what you're saying. Sorry, just like the being in life. Yeah.
Life is it.
Yeah, I get you.
Right? It's like all those other things, they're great, But honestly, they're still a shiny object somewhere. But once you can actually be within and say nothing needs to change, not even have a dream, just nothing changes, day to day to day to day, nothing needs to change, and live it. That's like a true practice.
Yeah, it's like you're living in life, and life's kind of just taking you like you're just on a river, and yeah, I get you. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
No, I reckon that's what, like, even my uncle, like Jihad, when he come back, my uncle come back from Syria.
Okay.
They went and baptised their son there, and not long ago, but he ended up extending. And this is like, mate, them just to buy meat. People can't buy meat in Syria.
Yeah, wow. This recently?
Recent. I think he was telling me he took the family to a restaurant. They hadn't been in a restaurant for years. It was $60 Aussie. It looked like he owned the place. You know what I mean? And he goes, like the locals, they haven't dreamed to go to a restaurant. Yeah, wow. Right? He kept extending the trip. And then, you know, the things started to happen with the Israel and Palestine thing, right? They've hit Damascus and like a couple of airports.
That's right, yeah.
And like, I sent him on WhatsApp, I said, like, hello, like, uncle, is it dangerous? What's going on? Are you going to be able to come back? Because he's got to go to Lebanon and come back. You can't fly out of Syria to Australia, right? And he goes, don't worry, man. He goes, I'm extending this trip. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to come back or when I'm coming back. What do you mean? I said, he goes, Habib, he goes, they are happy here. I feel happy here. They are happy here. And I go, really? He goes, they are happier than what we feel back home.
Yeah.
Doing just the simple things.
So yeah, talk a bit about that.
About what specifically?
About like how, you know, people still find happiness. Even I've met like his wife. She went through war.
She had
such a happy woman. Happy, right? Sorted, grounded, and seen shit. But you wouldn't know. It's life. She's accepted life. And here we avoid life. And that's where we have delusion, right? This fraction between us because we're just not accepting of what life is. Trying to make it something, but not really with life. So, you know, and it's, for me to like, means also to connect with you is because you bring it down to earth.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to see like a strong, masculine man, normal masculine man do this work, right?
Am I normal? Fuck, man.
That's
fucking
Dude, seriously, it's fucking normal. I was like, thank God. Thank God for that, you know, because it's like that, it should be on that level, you know.
Yeah, you should put wigs on, make videos.
You know, the Lebanese cucumber.
Just use a Lebanese cucumber to pretend to be a crystal dildo. You're normal.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You know what, man? Like, in saying that, it's like, number one, like, what attracted me on Instagram to Australia was like, I resonate with this bloke. I go, before even realising, I go, I didn't even know you were Middle Eastern until you wrote Khayy in one of your posts when you're playing the back here, right? And I'm like, something is resonating. This guy,
you can
feel it.
You just know it.
He's putting,
you know when you're walking past someone, you're like, we might be like distant cousins or some shit.
Kickboxing on the bag.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, this guy can fight. And then I'm like, mate, this is basically, I feel like, I know, like in Melbourne especially, I haven't met anyone that is from a cultural background like Middle East that is like, when I know for myself stepping into the work we do, it's frowned upon. From many aspects, you know, from cultural, from religious, like they think, oh, you gotta go. One of the guys said to me once, one of the family members goes, out of nowhere, we're talking, mind you, I was a deacon growing up as a kid, right? In the altar, so X, Y, and Z were talking, he's like, well, you're not a religious person, you're a spiritual person. I said, who said I'm not a religious person? Who said I don't believe? I never said that. But the moment you start doing something that they don't understand, all of a sudden it's like stigma. You know what I mean? That's what I found out. That's why I was resonating when I saw you. I saw Middle East background.
You're
fighting.
doing big
you
work.
grew up in the West. We grew up in similar circumstances down the southeast of Melbourne. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, fuck, this really resonates.
Yeah.
Do you know
So what's your background with that?
Yeah, like I think, you know, I grew up Christian, Orthodox, Lebanese. You know, parents fled the civil war in Lebanon, 70s, came here.
You were born here?
I was born here, yeah. Struggled to like integrate here culturally. There was a lot of racism back then in the 70s, and my parents couldn't speak any English, and so there's this kind of exclusion, this sense of exclusion, that they experienced there. And I think the way that I've understood some of that, let's say, closeness that I've also observed within my family towards this sort of stuff. Let's say it's around opening up and being vulnerable and all this sort of stuff. I just say it's layers of protective mechanisms that they've had to build over themselves to cope with all the different shit that they've been through that I can only imagine. That they've had to deal with, you know what I mean? So that's one way I've understood it. Now, I think also the religious component of it too, that part of the world, there is like, especially Lebanon, like there's sectarian division between like what political party you're a part of and therefore what religion that is. And then, and that's even more exacerbated within like the greater region where you've got, what's going on in, Palestine and Israel, you're a Jew, you're this, you're that. There's a lot of sense of identification based on what religious background you come from. And the reason why that's important is because it's just group identity, tribalism gives a sense of belonging, sense of protection. And, it's an innate part of our human programming that we have that, embodied within us. So it's like if someone isn't your in-group and they're an out-group, it almost creates just a more separation, more space, more us versus them. Yeah. So, whenever you've got people that have come from environments that, that framework is there and it's still used as a way to, cope and adapt and survive, and they've also gone through other things throughout their life that have built more protective layers, it can be very strange to, be exposed to other forms of, what we've all experienced is just healing, just as a way to connect. And, I never resonated with the whole church, and like I used to go to church, but I didn't feel connected there. It almost felt like I was kind of forcing myself to be there. And, plus, the Orthodox churches, brother, they go for like fucking 2-3 hours, brother. Are you Orthodox as well?
I'm Syrian Orthodox.
Okay, yeah, I'm Syriac Orthodox.
Me too. Syriac.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Okay, right, yeah.
Aramaic.
Yeah, same. My judo speaks Aramaic as well. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So there's obviously a deeper connection, not just Middle Eastern, because they're a minority in the Middle East. Yeah.
Like Saiful 1950.
That's right, from the Turks and the Ottomans.
Azakh, a place called Azakh, like south of Turkey.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my judo comes from a place called Mardin.
Yeah, Mardin, same.
Yeah. It's around the same region, right? Yeah, beautiful. So, there's what was I? Where was I going? There was some direction. So I think I didn't feel connected in these places. Basically, long church sermons. It's just like I'm falling asleep. I just couldn't connect. So I found my connection firstly, it was within nature. I would be in nature, forest, jungle, mountains, and I'd feel this deep connection to something greater, to something more than myself. And it was actually the spirituality that opened me up more to the connection to God. It was like that. I was like, okay, and now I'm at a point in my life where I'm actually interested to read the Bible.
Actual religion.
Yeah, I'm interested to read it, and not only the Bible. I'm interested to read the Quran. I'm interested to read. I'm interested because I just it's all just code. And I just want to.
Very similarity.
Yeah, I just want to understand it. But now, because I feel like I have the discernment to be able to read it, maybe understand what the metaphors mean, or what it means for me, at least, to say the least. Not that I have to follow it dogmatically or whatever, but I can just take it in and perhaps use it in some way. I'm just curious about it.
And you know what it does too? It also gets you to understand, people say God and devil, right? Good and bad. You start to relate to things very differently. You don't see it so black and white.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? You understand what energy is.
Right.
Right? There's no judgment.
You don't become, you're less judgmental.
Yeah, so it's you actually start to understand on a deeper level what those things are, so that, it's not that you're not careful, but fear starts to dissolve and you start to look at things very, very differently, and you notice now when when people do talk about, like, when people are moving like this, it looks like the devil and stuff. It's like, yeah, look, that's fear in you. Do you know? But and you start to understand, hey, I was also at one stage, if I would see that, because I didn't understand what energy is. Yeah, it looks scary. Right? And so when you know, when you're doing something so different to what they think religion should be, because religion's going to be so structured and so quiet and so strict and and you're doing something else that's connecting you directly, it's also like going against everything that they sort of know, right?
That's right.
Because their belief system's now going to be challenged.
That's right. And it's understandable how there's that more rigid framework with it, because it's hasn't worked perfectly, but the fact that it's still around now over whatever thousands of years means it's worked to a degree. It's somehow worked. You know, otherwise it wouldn't be here now if it hasn't worked in some way. It's like a company that's been around for fucking a few hundred years. It's like they're doing something right. Something's right. It's not perfect, but they've done something. You know what I mean? So it's like with that, like that rigid, you know, structured framework, it gives people something that they can at least, you know, rely that because it's worked before. It may work for me moving forward as well, right? So, you know, I think that's you know, credit to that, you know, system. It provides like some level of like values, you know, don't kill people, don't steal. That's what I got out of it. You know, I got like almost Jesus became like this representation of a form of consciousness that resembles like the higher self, you know, self energy, which is compassion, understanding. He goes up to the Samaritans, he goes up to the beggars, he goes up to the people with leprosy, you know, he goes up to the prostitutes, he connects with all of them. There's no judgment. He understands, you know, all of them. And whenever I'm talking to people, you know, I've sat down and spoken to people that have been to jail, that have, you know, that have killed people, that are, you know, sex workers. Shouldn't use that word. I've learned that from a sex worker. She corrected me with it. So anyway, talking to all these people that in my past I would have been like, you're a fucking bad person, man. And then, you know, all of a sudden now I'm drug users, exactly, drug users. And, you know, just understanding what led them to, you know, where they are now and what parts of them were trying to have their needs met in various ways. So, yeah, I think that's, you know, I've always admired the representation of Christ. I think it really gives a beautiful essence to what it means to be human for all of us, for a part of us, of what we can all access within us. And it's something I spoke about recently, actually relating to the shit going on in the Middle East now. It's fucking horrifying bullshit. It's so sad what's happening, especially to all the kids. But how there's a lot of people that are using like religious ideologies to justify what's happening. It's like, oh no, you know, the kids have to die because they're, you know, this is the coming of Christ, because there's going to be Armageddon and, you know, Christ is coming. Like, shut the fuck up, wake up out of your religious disassociation, which is no different than spiritual disassociation. And, you know, it's just like, you know, perhaps we don't have to wait for some physical being of Christ to come forward now. Rather, it's accessing the consciousness of Christ to stop the fucking bullshit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just...
Bro, exactly right. Like, fuck, I tell, and it doesn't matter how many people you tell. And I said to Aisha. Aisha said to me once, she said, oh, you know, watch this guy on YouTube, Aaron Apke. I mean, my wife only started watching him now, and she's like, there's this guy, he's talking about Jesus, and she goes, it makes sense. I said, Aaron Apke. She goes, hang on. She goes, yeah. I go, that is the one guy that made me understand. When he goes, let's talk about the spiritual man, Jesus. I go, I went to church for how many years? You know what I mean? And I was like, something's missing. I don't get it. Right? But then I listened to like 10 minutes, and then I start understanding that we can access all this.
Yeah, right.
There is no disassociation.
Yeah.
He's not saying I'm this and you're that.
Yeah.
We are you. We're the same.
Exactly.
Like,
that's right.
Look in the mirror. It's the same shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And he just came to show, like, the story of him is to show examples how you can be.
Yeah, exactly. That's
live
right.
the same way,
Yeah.
right? And then the moment you do that, I found hatred leave my heart, judgment leave my heart. Look, I'm a human being, so I'm going to slip up. but I'm conscious now. So when I do slip up, I can reflect and go, okay, I fucked up.
Right.
Now let's see how long I can go without doing that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the other thing is, you look at another. You say, don't put Jesus on a pedestal, and then you put him so out of reach. And it's easy to go, well, he's Jesus, I'm not.
Yeah, right.
Right? And then you have no responsibility.
Yeah, right.
Whereas like now, if you start to see God in everyone, right? So the conversation we're having right now never has been before, never will be done again. This moment has never occurred. It is perfect. If I deny this moment because like Jesus is waiting for me over there, I've missed the point. Right? So you've got to look at life and every moment, every interaction, right, as perfection. Right?
Yeah,
and to
that.
always try and see how you can always say to people, even if you have boundaries, like, you know, we've been taught about like narcissists and all this stuff, and I get it, man, I get it. But, and it's like, I have a boundary now, I have a boundary. It's a big thing now, right? But I was like, yeah, but you can also have a boundary with love. I said, you know, if you don't speak to someone for a year, but you've never backstabbed them, you don't talk ill behind their back, you don't wish them, that's love. But if you have coffee with them every day
and talk shit,
and you talk shit about them, right?
Or wish.
That's not a loving relationship.
Yeah,
I said, bro, you can set a beautiful boundary with love.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to come from a very, I need to set a boundary because da 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 da. You know. So it's like in every moment, see if you can live as that consciousness. Doesn't mean you're not strong. Doesn't mean I won't fucking go somewhere if they attack me. No, because in that moment, I had to serve life that way.
Yeah.
Right, it's not personal. And so it's like, now when we look at it, it's like, now if I really think about it, spirituality did sort of throw me out here first, right? I went religion, spirituality and all that. And now I realise I'm doing a loop back into like, hey man, it's fucking right here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we don't need to get too lost in.
No. And you have fun. People think you have to be all weird and shit.
I know, man.
Like, dude, talk about that. You're drumming and shit.
you can listen
doing
to Tupac
crazy
still.
shit.
Fucking oath you can listen to Tupac, bro. Are you serious? He's so spiritual. You listen to his lyrics, bro. He taught. I'm just like, wow. Like, you know, he wasn't there meditating and shit, but he was accessing something else. You know, we all have.
Expressing it different. He was expressing it like the way he fucking saw it.
Authentically.
Yeah, that's the
Like
thing. Talk about that.
Talking about suppression and fucking his people copping it, and he wasn't gonna do like my people were copying it.
Exactly.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, we can just hug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's like fuck you and keep fucking with us. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
it.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. Like, I'm not against that. Like, I think for me, you know, I'm not doing all this sort of spiritual stuff to be spiritual. Like, I don't want to be spiritual. What the fuck even is that, bro? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just doing it to be me, you know, because I am whatever. There's a spirit within me, and I can access that, and you know, that energy of my essence, and release that out to the world, and it expresses itself in different ways. Sometimes it fucking wants to have a bit of a joke and have a laugh, and sometimes it's super serious and calculated and strategic, and sometimes it's very isolated and kind of in solitude. It manifests in different ways. You know, energy does. Look at this Earth. This Earth is so different. It's the oceans, this Antarctica, fucking desert. It's different. Like we are. Our unique expression is so. So vast, like the network of consciousness that we all have access to. And I think when we dissolve those limitations and unburden some of those jobs that parts of us are doing as a way to try and have their needs met in different ways, like be accepted by others, be safe and secure. I need to hold up this wall here, and I need to put that guard there, and I need to block out that memory there. When you've got a lot of energy diverting to all these systems internally, it leaves a lot less energy for that like essence of us to come out.
Give a little description of how you sort of tap into that, because it's really hard. Because if you're trying to do it yourself, this is why it's great to have a coach,
Right.
because you can't see what you're in.
Yeah, look, well, first of all, I'm not going to recommend people to try and do it themselves. Just to let go of the part of them that feels like they have to bear all the independence to do it themselves. Like that's a layer there. That's already making it hard for them to get through. Like, so that's, for some people, that's the first layer that they have to work through. And that layer might come at a cost of experiencing some type of breakdown, or the catalyst of really reaching a rock bottom for them to realize, okay, I obviously am just a fucking human and I can't control everything within this system and I need to ask for some help. First layer dissolves, right? And then we can move to the next ones, right? So I'd say for people, don't feel like you got to go through a fucking balls deep, get in there, get deep, cunt. Like it's just, take. And I'm sure we've all done that. Yeah.
Personalities have definitely done it.
Of course.
So you can go through it in a gentle approach. So the approach that I do, it's before we're working with any of those deep shadow elements of themselves. So like let's say the more vulnerable parts of themselves, we're just working with the protective parts. Okay. It's kind of like let's say you're rocking
The parts that are out there, the furthest the boundary.
That's right. The one think of it like you've got a little child locked away in the highest tower in a chamber in a castle, but you've got layers, around the castle. You've got walls and gates and guards and dragons and all this sort of shit, right? You've got fucking booby traps and moats and everything around it. So you got to work through those layers first and effectively ask for permission to go through the layers. Okay, so there's different things that some people try and do. Sometimes we try and bypass all the layers. And that would be called like spiritual bypassing. You're trying to get around, shortcut your way around, right? Or people try and fight against.
Because of discomfort?
Yes.
What is a spiritual bypass when you say that?
So think of like, let's say someone's come to a real, there's different forms of spiritual bypassing. I'll just share this one with you. Let's say someone's got they really want to heal. They say, I want to heal, I want to get fully healed now. So they'll go and do all these different modalities that are trying to get them to go straight to the core, heal it, and then voila, khalas, done, finished, right? Okay, now what can happen in those types of situations is we've all got these protective layers. We've had to be hard, cold, shut down, disassociated, distracted, addicted to different, we've got all these fucking things, right? Okay, now if you just try and bypass all those protective layers, get straight to the core and get straight to the kid in the highest tower of the fucking, I'm here now, time to heal ya. Okay, what happens is it can destabilize your protective system. Your protective system's going, what, fuck? How did they get through? It's kind of like someone did like a cheat code and got in, and then the protective system just and starts going online hard. What happens then? The protective system, there's more of a separation between your conscious self and the protective system. Your conscious self is just a part of you that made the decision to go and do that.
So is that sometimes when people just are like, yeah, I'm good and I'm like really good and I'm so like loving and everything is like, and they'll never feel angry again and they're like, I'm so healed, and it's almost like they've really gone from being one, then it's like complete denial or not even little steps of integration to be sort of something that's sort of whole.
Right, yeah, that can definitely happen for sure. It may happen where they completely lose touch with their protective system, so therefore after that they struggle to navigate life. They struggle to operate in society. They struggle to, it's all love and light now. They struggle to say no. Because all those other parts of themselves have probably been pushed away. That's one way it can manifest for sure. Because that conscious self that decided to go and do that was probably a conscious self that wants to be identified as a pure love light being, spiritual ego, whatever the fuck it is, okay? So if that conscious self has bypassed the protective system goes, yeah, well, fuck you.
Exactly.
Okay, then it can start to create a lot more internal conflict between it. And I've done work with people that have gone on that many fucking ayahuasca this and mushroom journey that, and done this many spiritual journey this, whatever modality that, and they still come and they're like, fuck, I'm still getting angry. Why am I still doing this low vibe shit? Because you haven't connected with your protective system. You got to get to know these parts of you. They're parts of you. They're not going anywhere. You got to learn to live with them and lead them.
You got to have a relationship with this.
You got to have a relationship. You got to like cooperate with them.
People, I say, how can you get rid of if this is a universe that's only accelerating? It's never taking away.
Right.
It's only adding.
Right, okay,
How the
that's a great way to
fuck
see
are you
it.
going to take
Yeah.
away something?
Right.
So if we talk about unlimited, do you know what that means? It means nothing gets taken away. It's
Right.
always evolving
Right.
and more.
And the thing with this protective system, there's a lot of energy that goes into it. Okay, think of like all these guards, they got to get paid, they got to get fed. There's a lot of energy. So you just think you're just going to delete that energy and just push it away? What are you doing then? You're just building and layers around the protective system, which takes even more energy. Think of, it's like you got to connect to the protective system, get to know it, appreciate what it's fucking done for you. Without that, you wouldn't be where you are now. You had to shut down there and block it out there and disassociate there and get anxious there to cope with all the shit you went through. It was all there for you. It's all a form of love that was there for you. Different parts of you came into the vulnerable inner child to go, I'll take over here. And you think you could just shut them off now? Like it's
like when if a threat came, which a lot of people like, oh, they had to defend themselves or whatever. What are you gonna do? Hug it out.
Exactly.
Someone's about to stab you, you're gonna hug him.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. It helps to have a connection to that part there, to be like, look, you've worked hard for a lot of my life. 24 hours a day, you probably need a fucking holiday. All right, just go to fucking Bali for a few weeks, mate. All right, yeah, I got this. You know, are you okay with that? The protective part of you may be like, I don't know. I'm a bit concerned still. I don't know if Charles is gonna.
That's how I understand my thoughts. This is what it's like. I love it.
You're in a real life virtual reality. It's a spin out, eh? It's here right now. It's 3D. You're in Inception now.
Well, I saw that moment. I'm like,
Fucking hell.
So you gotta work with these protective parts of you and think of like negotiating with them. What are their conditions? What are they gonna need? Maybe they need permission from you to be like, can I stop doing this job? But you needed to connect with them first before you could do that. It's not just like just going up to a guy and going, get out of my way. Like you're going up to him and be like, hey, you know, how long have you been standing here holding this shield? Well, fuck, it's been 20 years now. I'm like, okay, what's your reason for being here? I don't know. Someone told me over there that I have to stand here and not let people in. Oh, okay, I get you, because you don't want them to get hurt. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Cool, yeah, just out of curiosity, what would you rather want to be doing instead? Fuck, I just want to fucking take off all this armor and go run in the forest fucking naked and swim in that little creek over there and hang out with that little beautiful little pixie lady and, you know, get to know her a little bit, you know? You know, that's what I want to be. I'm like, okay, do you need anything from me to be able to do that? Well, you know, there's a really critical part of me over there, like an authoritarian part of me over there. And that part of me always wants to make sure that everything is fucking controlled and every part of me is in position so I don't, you know, so that the more vulnerable part doesn't get hurt. All right, I'll go speak to them now. I've already worked with that part now. I can go connect with now I can go connect with the critical part, because that's like a block. That could be a block, but you got a critical part there. That's there like, do not let people in, do not let people in. Make sure you do that. You let someone in there. See, you're weak. You need to be stronger.
That
right?
part is worried about this part's going to judge.
And what you find doing this is it's like a map. You're creating a map of all these different sub-personalities. And shadow work is you're just kind of traveling in there and getting to know different parts of you. And by doing that, you're getting to know more of yourself.
Yeah, you start understanding these things.
Understanding these different parts of you. We've all got different parts of us. Why they're there, where they come from, what age did they take up that role, why was it important at that time, at that age to take up at that role. And then you're just getting more understanding, more compassion towards yourself. You just get...
Start accepting a lot of the things that have happened.
Exactly.
And why you reacted in a certain way. And
that's it. And by doing that, you're unburdening your system, and then you're giving them permission to divert that energy towards them being more, you know, as this guard wants to do, go run off in the fucking forest naked. That's it. Let's go.
Punches on. Punches straight in the creek. Hey, don't close your eyes. Fucking hell, she'll come out with a pitchfork. Ready to kill.
So I think some practices or ideologies, they try and bypass that process. It takes time, it's uncomfortable, you got to face more undesirable parts of yourself. And
do you reckon if you do it that way, they have more of a healthy relationships with the stronger like energies? Like I still say anger is very important. I still get angry. Like and that I learnt that because I was going to talk to you about this too, that I felt like in my own life, my own experience, the only time I really suffered, like not going through pain or something, but suffered, so it's self-inflicted, was when I tried to be a good person.
Right.
When I tried to be good.
Well, that's a burden, right? Yeah. The burden of being a good girl. Yeah. The burden of being a good boy. There's a programming around
it. Right? And
right. There's a lot of parts of you got to push away. Keep everyone happy, be good.
So what are your thoughts and what is your experience of people that like go from that space of like, because it's a really hard thing for someone to go, because I used to be very authentic and stuff, and then I thought, because society and family and culture so says
maybe you're offending people, you're hurting people.
You're too, so you're like, okay, maybe I am, because
you're a psycho.
And because I'm always against whatever. So you sort of go, okay, maybe I'm going to try it their way. But then I noticed that the only time I did sort of like suffer was when I really went against that. Yes. And I tried to not be angry. Right. Tried not to be aggressive when I needed to be aggressive, right? And so there was like this I was trying to understand what is that, So what I came to realize in my thing, the other way wasn't healthy either, because I was very reactive.
Right, okay.
Right, so I was a very reactive person, and so the anger did sort of come out. But then when I suppressed it, was also not.
Right. And it's understandable, because if there are parts of us that are reacting out to the surface on autopilot without any sort of self-leadership, it's going to lead to negative outcomes, right? And then it's only natural that after we've experienced some of these parts sabotaging our relationships, affecting, us in certain ways, making us unhealthy, whatever the fuck it is, that we go, all right, fuck off, push it down, suppress, let's try that. Okay, and then it makes sense that after that we realize, well, fucking wait a minute. I got zero connection to my anger. It's very exhausting and requires a lot of energy pushing these parts of me down. That's not working either. So what the fuck am I going to do? So it's kind of like you've got all these, let's say you got like 20 members of like this team. One of them is like the burly one that can go out there and kind of fight a lion if something happens. One wants to investigate. You'll give him a label of some fucking food, and they'll go and like, let me analyze every single thing there. Just wants to investigate everything. One of them is critical. That's not right there. That needs to change. That's not correct. You have all these people in a team. The fucking inner Marvel superheroes. They've all got the ones of the Hulk. One is this. They've all got their own different powers, right? Now, if we don't have a relationship with and we don't have some kind of self-leadership with these parts, it's only natural that they're just going to run amok. The investigator wants to investigate everything. The critical part wants to criticize everything. The angry part wants to just angry and then it gets out of control, right? So what we want to do is, you are like the centerpiece. Your higher self, yourself, is the centerpiece of all these parts, and you are like this, the nucleus of the atom, which is them, and then you connect with them, and then guide them.
It's literally when it's needed, you're like, hey.
Yeah, when it's needed. Yeah. Call upon that one when it serves you. Yeah. When that part serves you, go. If I know I've got a critical part, I know I've got one, and he doesn't come out all the time, but when he does, I'll give him permission to, and I'll criticize.
You'll see what it's about.
Yeah, and I'll criticize something that I think is ridiculous, like that video that you saw. I was criticizing, 20-year-old life coaches that are living privileged lives, having one mushroom journey, going, oh man, it's abundance, man, and then kind of thinking they can walk through a slum and just talk to poor people, like, you just got to change your mindset. Like, it's just, I'll criticize the fuck out of that. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. I'll criticize that, but I'm not going to criticize something else that's like, it's just going to elicit like, I'm not going to criticize someone who's drinking alcohol because they're going through pain that I haven't experienced, and that's their coping mechanism, whatever. I'm not going to criticize you for that. You know, I might provide some type of criticism that it can be helpful for you. Like, hey, just so you know, alcohol can do this to your body, and it is a coping mechanism, and you know that's my criticism there. But I'm not going to criticize you as a person, like for doing that. You know, I feel like, you know, I don't always get it right. You know, I'm human. Sometimes I might say something that's like, probably being a bit of a cunt there, you know, but, you know, I've got an inner cunt and he comes out every now and again. But I can try and just be better each time and refine it and improve my relationship. And I'm 32 years old. Like, what do you expect? Anyone who's, like, I'm a 32-year-old guy, don't expect too much. Like, if you got me up on a pedestal, take me down. I'm on the same fucking level as you. You won't get disappointed.
Man, because I'm 33, and I sometimes look at myself going, fuck, like, I'm not young, I'm older, should I be, you know, and you start criticising yourself. You start putting pressure on yourself, you know?
Because look at us. We don't know everything. We're still learning. Like, the beautiful thing about all of us is we're all curious. We're open, and we understand.
You know, I'm 33 going, I'm doing the same mistakes at 23. But I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So it's like, you're getting critical on yourself.
Because all I know is when I'm 90, I've said this a few times, I don't know if I've said it before in a podcast, maybe first time, but when I'm 90, I want to look back at when I'm 80 and go, fuck, he was cute back then. You know, he was cute, like, he thought he knew everything.
Okay. His budgies were sweet. Now his guts are over.
He thought he knew everything about consciousness. And he's cute. That's it, but that's life. We're growing, it's always new things, and we get to expand and kind of observe parts of ourselves that are a bit ridiculous and work on bettering a relationship with it. And what else can we do? Otherwise, we just fucking sink into a fucking pit of suffering and
it's happened to us.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here today.
Exactly.
100%. And I think, do you know what, as I've got older, I'm 47, I feel like I've gone the other way, like when I laugh, when I connect with people, when I have better relationships, you know, and I think that's what it's about, and that's what you're doing with connecting, with bringing people together, grounding people. So, you know, massive thank you. We appreciate 100%. You for doing what you do, and I just love it, because I think you're bringing this space, this world to ordinary people, living ordinary lives, doing normal jobs that, you know, might be curious.
You make it real. You know, you pull it out of there where we land, you bring it back down into like, at the end of the day, bro, like, and look, a lot of the people that I know that I have the opportunity to, you know, have a platform to help in any way, or guide or anything, is real life people, man. They're concreters, they're fighters, they've got to go to work, bro, they've got to pay their bills.
That's it.
I can't tell them, spend 4 hours of your day fucking staring at that wall and eat this and, you know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, I can't. So it's like making things real, practical, tangible.
That's it.
Yeah.
That can actually improve people's lives.
That's it. And then the rest of the woo-woo stuff, that can happen within them through their own experience. That's what the spiritual journey is. I'm not here telling people, there's this and that, and like some ideology that you got to follow. I'll create my own internal ideology that helps me understand this, but I'm not imposing that on anyone. I'm just here to just whatever. Here's some space. You know, I'm on the same level as you. We can talk and you can figure it out for yourself. I can just chuck in a few questions there and shine a flashlight there, and, you know, just to help you suss out what's going on. I'm not fucking no guru, whatever. I'm gonna die. I'm a cunt sometimes. I do this, whatever. That's it. I'm here, but that's all we can, you know, give each other as humans. You know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for today, and appreciate it. Thank you for having us in your home as well.
You're welcome.
Really
I don't want to leave.
Get the fuck out. I just want to say, everyone that's listening, thank you. I want to thank you both as well for having me on. Really, really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this podcast. I felt like you both made it very easy for these parts of me to come out. Very easy. There's an essence that you both have that I can definitely relate to. Perhaps because of your past areas you grew up in, you know, then it really kind of touches that part of my soul. And to everyone that's tuned in and listen, if you're interested in picking up more of what I'm putting down, you can check me out on Instagram. Maybe I'll give you guys all the links. If you're interested in any of my workshops, I do like an inner child workshop, I've got like a shadow mastery course, it's a shadow work program coming up May 21st, 12 weeks. And then my next retreat is June 28th to the 30th in the Hunter Valley, New South Wales. All information will be there. Check it out. Send me a DM if you have any questions.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey guys, it's Zuzu and Aish from Be Human Podcast. Firstly, we'd like to say thank you. We're very grateful for the support, ongoing support. Our podcast is one of our first passions. That's where Be Human really started growing its legs.
True.
Before the events and courses and other things that we have done. So we would love if you could please subscribe and continue the support, because it will help us bring on bigger guests and more interesting conversations, and just basically help us have that presence online there on YouTube and on our Spotify platforms as well. So I hope you all enjoy, and thank you for the support.
Thanks, guys.